Welcome to the Amanita Online Congress. It is my great pleasure to introduce author Anderson Marty. Also is a traditional Sami and Tornedalian healer, artist, activist, and researcher from Kiruna, Swedish Sapmi, the north of Sweden. She weaves together the voices of people, places, and more than human beings, including the spirit of Amanita Muscaria, seeing the landscape as a living archive. Also is also the founder of the pilgrimage path Sami Trail of Tears, rooted in her mother's childhood memories of forced dislocation. After my visit to her home in Kiruna, fly agarics, Amanita muscaria, grew across from her house for the first time.
Wow, so cool.
Could you share a bit about your personal background, being Sami and Tornedalian, growing up in the Kiruna municipality, that's the north of Sweden, and how this shaped your path as a healer, artist, researcher, social activist?
Yeah, first of all, hello, Nora. So nice to see you again. It was a few weeks ago when you actually was here with me on the other side of my table, sharing tea and coffee. So that was so nice. So I love to reconnect with you again. Yes, I am up in Kiruna, which is Giron in Sami, which means mountain grouse. You know, this bird, kind of a mountain chicken, basically. So everything up here is about, has names from food sources. So it's a very rich, nurturing place, Kiruna or Giron. And it's the home to several Sami villages, mostly mountain Samis, and one forest Sami village, and a and the culture of non-colonial settlers called the Lantalaiset or Tornedalians. So up here we are moving between mountains, forests, and river valleys. Those are the important topographies up here. So that is the place voice. And we are sitting, you and me now, on old Sami land and Lantalaiset land, and I'm a mix of the both cultures. So I have one leg in both cultures. And very close to where I'm sitting, because you have this Amanita Congress. There now it started to sprout because we're also suffering from climate change. And when you were here, it was a dry and very hot, actually, for being up here. So the mushrooms kind of suffered along with everything else. Even reindeers had a very hard time, and the animals. So now, when we got the rain, everything started to come back. So we have a connection now with the Amanitas, not from an physical, but from a spiritual point of view. And that is what I want to talk about. And those mushrooms are with us now in spirit, one can say, the entities, because they have agency. And I'm used to talk to places and more than human entities. And I can strongly feel that this is a blessing and an opening to this Amanita Online Congress from a spiritual point of view of the entities of the Amanitas. I actually can sense them around me. I don't know what you can pick up. So you asked me how I started, no?
Yeah, about your personal background, how your path as a healer, as a Gunsta, a traditional Sami healer and artist.
So this, I grew up in the culture, so it was absolutely interwoven. You know, when your parents, for example, has an occupation, you get so acquainted to that, so it's kind of in your family culture, and that is the thing in my case. So I'm also having a mother from the village of Lainio, which is by the Lainio River, which I think you know, the Lainio River. You went up to Caresuando, which is also close to the Lainio River, and Jukkasjärvi, which is close to the Torne River. So, and up here, there's never been a lot of people, and therefore never been a lot of proper, let's say proper or Western doctors.
Oh, that's great.
So we had to find ways to keep people and animals on their legs and be functioning, because the climate is so tough in the Arctic. So we had to find other ways, and that is to talk to the environment, because everything is about negotiation with the nature, with the climate, with the weather, with the whatever can happen up here. And it's relationships. We don't eat that much actually of these plants and mushrooms. We eat them, but we are not like being crazy about them. But we do have conversations, and they do answer, and they show us where and how to find healing ways. So this is how I grew up. I had a godfather called Wally, and he, you know, old people and kids are like really good combinations, you know, because the adults in their strong ages needs to work, you know, and then kids and the elderly can hang. Yeah. So it's natural also awesome. in these old societies. So we hang a lot. And he said, why don't you go and ask the stone what it said? Why don't you go and have a conversation with the blueberries? Why don't you, well, ask the amanita mushroom what it has to say in this, because kids ask so many questions, you know, so they are like annoying sometimes. And I understand. He said, no, you go and ask the tree. You will not get an answer from me. So this is how I got my training, let's say, which was absolutely natural. And when I grew up and went to Swedish school, I understood this was wrong. This is not how you do. This is like fantasies. It's bullshit. It's old ways. It's almost not. You say. It belongs to the wrong race, actually. It's kind of not Swedish, because Sweden want to be so secular and modern and industrialistic. This was part of the old useless culture. So I kind of shut down this, and I went to the Western modus. Then I tried all of these normal jobs in PR and God knows what, and it was so draining. So when I got 30, I said, no, this doesn't work. I will get burnout. So I jumped off. Exactly. And I started to study psychology and rhetorics and philosophy and alternative, complementary and alternative medicine, basically the old European and traditional Chinese schools. And I found, oh, here I understand the language. Here I feel at home again. Because there's so much shamanism going on in Western philosophy. The early philosophers, they are all about air, the elements and the directions. They're very much about that. Water, air, fire, all these earth elements, they're deep diving into that. So that is, I said, oh, right, I get like Swedish and English words for what I already know. So that was interesting and kind of an epiphany. Then I started to work with these Western traditions, the homeopathy, the traditional Chinese medicine, Garo practitioner stuff. And people started to ask, what about your background? Could I have a shamanic healing? I said, no, it's kind of not that useful. And, I tried to get away. And then my godfather died. And a week after, it was spring in April, slippery with ice up here. I slipped and I fell like a really ridiculous fall on ice. And I fell flat on my back. It felt as if someone pulled me, like you have a small dog in a leash and you are used to a very strong dog. And when the small one runs and you kind of stop it, but with too much power. So I kind of flew like in a bow back, and I fell flat on my back, and I heard this terrible noise in my body of breaking bones and ripping tendons, and it was a terrible sound. And then I saw the face of my godfather in the air, hovering above me, and I thought, what is this? So my left arm is basically wing clipped. I have no joints in it. It's kind of very weak, but I'm right-handed, so I used to joke and said he took my left arm, so I have to be grateful. I got into depressions, of course, because I couldn't work and earn my money. I had to heal. And as if a miracle, I got a phone call a half year after the bad fall. And a voice said, hello, I'm calling you from Switzerland. I've heard from another of your clients about your shamanistic work. I want to have the same. Can I come? And it's kind of quite far between, let's say, Geneva and Kiruna. So I said, oh, well, yeah. When do you want to come? Well, next week. Oh, Jesus. So I had a really a fast jump into only all traditional shamanistic work, and that is who I am today. So I had, and this is what happens to people. You get a call, the hero's journey, you get a call to action. I hated that call. I refused it. And the call got louder and louder. I still refused it until it had to violently knock me off my feet, literally. I went down to the valley of the shadows, basically. Got depressed, seriously. And resurrected with a new developed soul. So I had to sacrifice my ego. I had to do this journey. This is a little bit what the Amanitas is talking about. And my neighbors, we need to evacuate. Within 10 years though, but this can go very fast because the land is cracking faster than predicted. So what is going on here? People are very worried because it's a huge uncertainty going on. We don't know when, we don't know where, we don't know anything. And the Amanitas come. Yeah. And they are calming agents with agencies. So this is so interesting, this connection with the volatile place. And we have no control. We are not the one that can make decisions on our own lives. So we are kind of between the mind and the state now, because the state is owning the mind. So it's kind of these authoritarian things going on, right? As in many places in this world, right?
Yeah.
And we feel like we are in some kind of limbo, twilight zone. We have no control. And you, as a psychologist, know what no control does to a person. You can start to head trip and spin out of your orbits right? And become really unhappy, really stressed. And stress, as you also know, is the mother of all diseases, I would say. I dare to say.
There you go.
So this is the situation. And this is what the Amanitas is doing right here, which is super interesting. So now I'm in dialogue with the Amanitas about this situation of uncertainty and stress and feeling of no control, because they come with healing and they are around. I wish so that you were here now to see this.
Yeah, me too. It's such a beautiful landscape full of nature, green, water. Could you share a little bit more about what does it mean, Sami, healing, animism? How is a healing session? How do you work? I see the drums behind you, which are exceptional, beautiful. I sat there when we were in your kitchen. Maybe you could share a little bit more, so also for the listeners in the Congress who might not have heard about Sami, animism, shamanism, healing before. What is that?
So animism is not anything that we would ever find the word for in the culture. It's so natural. It is, we consider that nature has agency, and you remember the constant negotiation with place and the relationship with place. It's relatives, so it's living beings. So it's animated, soulful in the word's meaning. So animism is more something that with your background, you need to understand and learn. And I, with my background, needs to understand how to explain even, because the saying that maybe a fish doesn't understand water. Why? Because it's the medium the fish is living there. It's so we have a distance to water. We are not like actual water beings, even though we contain 80% of water or something. But the fish, does it understand water? You ask a Sami, what is animism? It's kind of the same. What are you? And I had to understand. That's why I went to university to study psychology, to get the Western language, the words, and also rhetorics and philosophy, because there I found the directions, which is so important in the Sami cosmology, and the elements. It's there. So that is a proof to me that the Western world, Greek world, Greece and Turkey and Italy, and where this philosophy started, comes from shamanism. 100%. We have the same understanding, but we are still with it. And the Greek philosophers, early ones, is 500 before Christ, ish, the early ones. So those we can study because it's preserved in language and in writing. So we can understand that. Go back to those and Empedocles, whatever the names, and look, there's a lot of shamanism there to learn in a Western language even. So to explain animism is that, well, everything is in relationship with everything. Everything has agency, not only you and me or a dog, everything. So you can have a conversation with everything. That is how we learn. This is how we understood that Amanita is medicine, for example. But we have no drugs up here in the tradition, other than booze from the colonizers, as everywhere. But in the tradition, no, we use sound because the Arctic is so quiet because of the winter. It's super quiet. That is also why Sami jewelries looks like this. Now we have this sound, very small sound that becomes quite loud in the winter, for example. So we don't need to be knocked out by some drugs. We use sound. We use a sound to travel, and to go into a trance mode. The heartbeats is very trance-inducing. So that is what we usually traditionally do. And I don't really eat the amanitas. I have a conversation. I travel with them. So I pick it, I dry it. Wintertime, I have it in ceremonies as a cell phone, as a mobile phone. So I can call up the mycelium, which is interconnected under the surface with exactly everything. So I can get good information from the place. And the Amanita can also show me what is needed. So the shamanistic healing is also to start to understand what everything is about, finding balance. That is important. It's nothing else. So this Amanita is to, when you're out of your balance, you want to try Amanita maybe as ingested in order to, or hope to find your balance again.
Isn't that healing, to find
That
your
is
balance again?
That is the healing. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's not that you're going to, let's say, evolve that much. That will happen anyways when you're in balance. So the Western idea of gaining stuff and perform and the next level, all of this, the internet is full, of these classes and God knows everything. I said, oof, I'm getting exhausted just to see them, No, it's to find your balance. Then the evolution will make the process, trust the process. When you're back into a balance, maybe you're the same old you, but you're not some of the Bitcoin whatever queens, but you're back on your feet again and you're finding balance. Okay, then you inhale, relax, trust the process. Evolution is, the planet is all about evolution. The upgrade will come. Don't chase it. Just keep an eye out, and it will come. Don't be daft, and don't listen like I did, because then, the evolution or the process will knock you out of your feet, hit your head, so you kind of sober up, like I had to do because I'm so stubborn. Unfortunately, it's my personality type. I can't do anything, but I learned. So the healing is to ask the disease, because the disease in the human has also an agency. It is an entity. How do you do that? You ask me. Okay, I do like this basically. Or when you came to see me, we talked about weather and wind, basically. And we shared a drink, like you wanted to have hot water. I took my coffee, and the disease entity can start to relax. You relaxing, the other one relax, and I can start to see it with my special eyes. And what is the special eyes? I can't really explain it. I also asked my godfather, what is the special eyes? Because he always talked about, then you look with your special eyes. But what is exactly the special eyes? It's an inner pair of eyes. Even if you lose your physical eyes, blind people there is this idea that blind people is really good healers because they see with other eyes. That is the special, you see with your special eyes. It's an inner eye ability. It's very hard to describe. You just need to exercise and try, and all of a sudden you find them. You find your special eyes, which is kind of, for me, those eyes are like behind me, kind of deep into my head. That is why I have them. And I go there to see. I go back in order to see, forward.
Exactly.
And when I see the entity, I need to have a conversation, and then you need to be able to have two thoughts going on. The Amanita, for example, because you will, I guess, then in this conference, talk about how the dosages and how to eat it and stuff like that in order to get an effect, and what kind of effect. So this is also, I think, connected to consumerism, which is connected to the Sami plight of losing land. It's consumerism. I think we eat too much. We don't need to eat everything, actually. We can relate instead. We don't need to own everything. We can go and sit with. So I am sitting with Amanita a lot, usually during the night, because it's more active during night, in my perspective. Have you tried to sit with Amanitas? And have you seen this beautiful blue glow? They radiate. It's as if an electric something, and they show they are alive. So, and here you can start to have this inner conversation. And maybe your body isn't really used to receiving that much and sending the information to your brain, basically, because we sense with the whole being, not only with the body, but with the etheric body as well. So that might need a little bit of practice before, if you're not used to, you as a collective, used to relate like this with other beings, more than human beings, like the Amanita, or with a stone, or with a tree, or with a place that has a specific energy attached to it, like a power place. So this is, you don't need to eat everything, actually. Eat less and be more, I would say. And that is a balance that one can look for.
This is such a beautiful and essential message. Perfect for the closing of the interview. Essential for the whole Congress.
To channel the Amanita as a being.
Yeah.
And listen to with the whole body before maybe eating it. That is also something. Or it's also interesting to check in and see what it does with you, and maybe also relate to a living Amanita if possible, if there's anything growing. Or you can connect with the image of the Amanita in a nature, kind of a fantasy nature, and travel in your mind. It works. If you sit in a apartment on the 11th floor or something and feel a little bit disconnected from nature, you go into your humans, and fantasy is really a strong thing. That is how we invite and invent new things. And we can time travel, go back in history, go forward, be here and now. Fantasy is amazing. So, and mushrooms and fantasy is really connected, as we know.
Thank you so much for for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us. It was a great joy and honor to have you with us. And I'm deeply looking forward to hear more about your knowledge and wisdom, but also all the projects helping to rebalance land, nature,
and people, balance land and people. And that is the shaman is being the one in the middle that balance, and then give the balance to the next, so the next also can start to be the one in the middle, negotiate and balance and relate, like the mushrooms, relating with the mycelium.
Thank you, Åsa.
Thank you so much for coming to see me in Kiruna and for having me on this Congress. It's an honor.
It's an honor. Amanita Online Congress. It is my great pleasure to introduce Lena Drius. Lena is a Noaidi, a Sami shaman from northern Sweden. On a recent journey, I had the privilege of visiting her at her home, a beautiful place in nature, where she offers shamanic retreats and healing sessions. Welcome, Lena. Thank you, Lena, for carrying the voice of the Sami tradition into this space and for sharing your wisdom and experience with us at the Amanita Online Congress and with everyone listening. Welcome to the interview, to the space.
Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me join you. It's really interesting.
It is an honor, and I'm really looking forward to learn more about Sami shamanism, about your work. So maybe you would like, or you could start with your personal journey into shamanism. How did it start? Was there a special moment or a calling, an awakening that you clearly recognized?
Yeah, I have always been in the forest, in the nature, since I was a child, and felt more at home in the forest than with people, really. But then you kind of get cultivated by the humans, or how to say. And yeah, I have had someone to talk to all my life in my head, and he was a bearded man, and nowadays I know that it was Merlin, but I didn't recognize who this man was, but I was very safe with him. But I didn't, as a child, I really tried to find my spirituality by going to church or to other Christian groups. But I never felt at home there. So I kind of dropped those existential thoughts when I was around a teenager. But still, my friends, they all said that you were always special, Lena, because you heard, like, for example, if you build a house on a reindeer path, you can hear the reindeers in the house. So I had those kind of experiences which my friends didn't have, and so on. And when I was working in the ambulance in the hospital, a small hospital, they said that the doctors and my fellow colleagues said that you're not, Lena, you're not a nurse or secondary nurse, you're a nature child, you shouldn't, this is the wrong environment, really. But I didn't believe them. So I went to the university to in behavior science. And after that, after depression, postpartum depression, I kind of got more contact with the spirits, and they started to guide me from that depression. And people around in our community, you can't just come by yourself and say that, hey, I'm your Noida. Nobody would trust you in that way. So, but people around me said that, Lena, you're a Noida. You should go after that path. And I was like, no, not me, because I really not worshipped, but I really honored the Noids that I have been meeting. Or we don't call ourselves Noids because it was due to the Christianity. It was really, how to say, devil's right hand, the Noid. So we had this bad reputation from the Christianity. So many of these healers, they call themselves traditional healers, just like that. So, but of course it was the Noids that worked, even if the Christianity didn't allow us to.
Thank you so much for sharing about your journey. And just for the listeners, Noid or Noida, if I understand correctly, is a Sami shaman, female shaman, is that?
Yeah, Sami shaman, and we also have another minority, the Kvernish minority, that also says Noid about the shamans in the among us.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, you're a Noida, a forest Sami Noida, but there are also mountain reindeer or sea Samis. Could you share a little bit of these different shamanic traditions, Sami shamanic traditions, practices, even tools?
Well, yeah, I mean the forest Samis. We were in the forest, so we were like semi-nomads. We didn't go that far with our reindeers, or our reindeer heads, and we had small herds around. I think the Mediterranean. It was about 13 reindeers, and we followed them in the forest. And the mountain Samis, they came from the mountains, had bigger herds, and came to the forest in the winter, and went up to the mountains in the summer. So they were more of nomads, longer ways. And the Sami shaman had the drum as a guide which path we should go to come the easiest way to go to the next place to rest and so on. So the drum was also kind of a compass. I don't know the English word, but
the compass, yeah.
So
I hear the reindeer, and I saw that when I visited you at your place, and a beautiful place and a very shamanic place, and that beautiful nature in the north of Sweden. The reindeers seem to be central in Sami life, and is that what is the connection between the reindeer, and is there a connection and Sami shamanic traditions?
Yeah, we were supposed to protect the reindeers from predators. So we could talk to the wolf, for example, and lead it in another direction, or the bears and so on. So it was really important to protect the reindeers, because without them, we wouldn't survive really in that harsh environment. Arctic environment. And also the legend says that we got the reindeer from the great spirits because we gave them a promise to use every part of the reindeer. So we did everything. The shoes from reindeer skins, the veins from the blood vessels. We had like the thread and so on. So we really used all the reindeer. And it's good in these times. It's good to remember that, because nowadays we are shopping way too much or wasting way too much. Yeah. So the reindeer is very central and very important. Even if for the forest Samis, most of the forest Samis were forbidden to own reindeers in the 1930s. So there's a big split between the Sami people, because the forest Samis were faster Christianized and colonized than the mountain Samis, because it was decided that they were the real Samis with the bigger reindeer herds.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And so as a forest Samani, so here for the listeners also here of this Amanita Online Congress, from what I heard, from what I read, the Amanita muscaria, this mushroom, the fly agaric, hold a special place in Sami northern traditions in the past, maybe a long time ago. And from your perspective, what role has it played and in Sami tradition, and how is it seen today, or has it played a role in the way you were taught, and what role might it play nowadays?
Well, I have to say that the tradition is from mouth to mouth, so there's not a lot of information on how it was historically. But and I have heard about the mushroom and the use of it, but I have never used it myself. I'm very interested because I feel that we have to find other ways than depressive and because it's not good for the environment with all these chemicals in the water and so on. So I'm very interested, but as I said, the Christianity was very rough. I mean, there were shamans that was killed because they still used their drum and the gods they believed in before the Christianity. So the mushroom was probably also called a drug as alcohol. We had, for example, this priest, Lestadius, that he got the Sami people were poor and there was heavy drinking, a lot of alcoholism, and he got them sober by his preaching. And he also said that coffee is the way to be sober. So Sami started to drink a lot of coffee and was offering coffee to the nature and so on. So I think that the way I'm taught, that the Noid should not use any of these stimulants, because then you're not then you're a weak shaman or Noid. Probably that's from the Christianity, I would say, because I know I've been interested of the benefits of the Amanita. So yeah, I'm trying them right now.
It's growing around in the forest around your home, right?
Yeah, just outside the porch.
Oh, yeah. And
so Yeah.
Do you have plant, tree, mushroom, or animal allies that you feel especially connected with?
The crows and ravens and the bear. Yeah. The bear is also, if you have the bear as your spiritual animal, it's also a sign of a great healing power that you're gifted. So I'm happy for having my spirit animal as a bear. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and the reindeer. We have different beliefs in the forest Sami tradition. The white reindeer was really bad news when they were born. It was a bad omen. So we usually kill them when they were born. But among the South Sami mountain Samis, there was a belief that you should never go to a shaman or a noi that haven't seen a white reindeer, because it was a sign of pure energy, or pure a good shaman that didn't do the black magic and so on. So yeah, I choose to believe in that also, that the white reindeer is a sign of a good spirit, or a good heart, so to say. And in the forest, the white reindeer could be survive, because it wasn't that easy for the predator to take them when they were hiding behind the trees, or the trees was hiding them. But in the mountains, it was a really easy target for predators. So usually they didn't survive in the mountain, but they did in the forest.
And nowadays, are there many white reindeers?
Yes, now we have a lot. It's really nice to see them.
Yeah,
it's good odds to see one in the forest nowadays. So
I felt very lucky, and also so happy when I saw 2 white reindeers within 2 days visiting you. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, so you mentioned also the drums in Sami shamanism.
yeah.
Do they? I've heard that traditionally there were only 2 Sami drums, shaman drums left, and if I remember correctly, your drum is also one of the ones used.
Yeah, I have a replica. I'll show you.
Replica.
Oh, wait.
Mhm.
So this is it was 2 of these drums left in after the burning of them. Probably people have been hiding them in the forest also, but this drum was from my hoods in Finland. That it's from the northern part of Sapmi. Oh, do you see?
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is in 3 worlds: the world of the dead, and our world, and the world of the gods.
Huh.
So you have also those drums, more southern drums with the sun cross.
Yeah.
But I felt this one is more. I felt more for this one because it's more of my heritage. So that's why I made a replica of them. Yeah.
And you use it in the rituals in your shamanic work? Is that?
Yes, I'm having some on my journeys. When you do the trance journeys, I use it, and for meditation and so on. So I don't have it like a fortune teller drum, because it's also used as that, but I haven't done that much. I do the coffee, you drink coffee and the black thing in the bottom, that kind of fortune teller. I think I'm better off doing and doing at the drum. But then you have a ring on the drum that you see where it's going and so on. But as a compass, I think it's good for me. And to get in trance, to reach, the noise go to the world of the dead, to the goddess of the dead, Yabmonaka, and we go there to negotiate with her. So, I went myself. I had this heart problem, and the doctors wanted to put a pacemaker in my heart. And I went to Yabunaka, and she made some surgery. I don't know what she made, but I went there and come back, and then afterwards they said that you don't have any problem with your heart. So I got a few more years, I think.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, this deep healing experience.
Yeah.
So for people who are not Sami, but who would love to learn and connect with these traditions, so many people in the Western world, we don't have these traditions anymore due to Christianity or whatever reasons. How could they connect? How can they learn?
Well, we are good at making things very difficult by being in the forest or being humble to the nature. That's a good start to reconnect to nature, disconnect to the phones, and reconnect to the nature. That's a good start, because it's nothing. It's not secret that the nature has this wisdom at all. So
this brings me to the question: what role plays nature in your practice, especially the mountains, the forest, your land?
We didn't have this a lot of herbs, so the stones are really important in the healing process also. Like sometimes I use stones to kind of strengthen my healing, and also the pines are our sacred tree, and you could, for example, do healing with the pine, and you will get a lot of energy and maybe some answers of questions. It's just to open your heart to know that everything has a soul. Everything, like the forest, is spiritual, and it's really, there's leeches in our virgin forest that it takes 800 years for that leech to grow. And we should be aware of it. It's not a process for that are that long. You have to have a fire in the forest at first, and a good pine, and that pine should be still in. There's a lot of things that have to be right for this leech to grow. And when you think of life in that perspective, when a pine dies, does it really it just change its energy, and we have to be more kind of curious about what the nature can really give us and learn by the spiritual way. And the more open you are for receiving from the nature, then magic happens. I would say, or not magic, but you get a lot of spiritual experiences.
Yeah, thank you for sharing these deep wisdom and insights. And it reminds me of how you started sharing how you fell into a depression until you listened again to the spirits, and you followed this calling.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hard to not do that, because if you have those values, you should go after your values, because otherwise you get sick. It's as simple as that. And people are hugging trees, people go out in the forest and hug trees, but what if you let them hug you back? It's a whole different feeling when you get hugs back, because I have had this great loss. My father drowned, and I went to the forest because I didn't know anywhere else to go to get comfort. And the way I like the comfort I had, it was really beyond everything I could describe, because it was really, really pure.
Pure. Yes.
Sharing and love. Yeah. Yes.
I heard that, in most countries or places, there are like 4 seasons, sometimes 2 seasons. But in Sami traditions, I've heard that you have 8 seasons.
Yes, it's the 8 seasons people. Yeah. So we have the winter, and we have the spring, winter. We have the spring, and we have the spring, summer, and the summer, and the late summer, and there's the autumn and the winter, autumn, and so on, because the shifts are distinct, I would say, between and these, and you couldn't just put them in 4 sections. It would be kind of rude, because the cycle of the nature are more and more complicated than that.
And do you also have similar, like in the Celtic tradition, do you celebrate these, like the winter solstice, the summer solstice, these different seasons?
Yes, the winter the Northern Lights?
Yes.
It's greetings from our ancestors, we believe. So they are very important for us. And the sun, we have the sun cross in our drums, and the sun is very important because it brings life. Yes. So yes, there's some celebrations, but very simple. It's really not big things. It's just our gratitude and gratefulness and giving thanks to the gods and goddess of the nature.
Mm.
Thank you so much, Lena.
Thank you.
Joy and honor to have you here.
Thank you for bringing me to join you.
And that was about 15 years ago. But the connection with the mushrooms, it changed everything. I got the experience after which I started to understand such holy scriptures, which, let's say, even spiritual teachers who are explaining it, they don't understand the essence simply because their consciousness doesn't have the experience. But once you have the personal experience, you can understand the language and the formulation of many cultures in understanding what they wanted to express. Because it's very hard to express sometimes the things that we experience when we're on a high vibration of consciousness. So as a result, after I tried the magical mushrooms 15 years ago, it took me about 2 more years to understand that actually all of this, to that point, 12 years of my spiritual path, they were all guiding me to one thing, is to understand that I'm not connected to any religion. I'm just connected with the Great Spirit. That I have never found that one teacher who could give me everything. So my teacher became all people and all reality that I meet in my life. And as a result, it guided me to the understanding that actually this, 12 years of my spiritual path, all what I was doing was actually self-discovering my personal path. And shamanism, it's like 100% all about your personal relationship with reality, God, spirit, earth, nature. It's all about you. And it's all about your connection with this reality, and we call it God. And this personal relationship, this is what creates personal stories, personal rituals, personal conclusions, personal path. And this is what I personally like in shamanism. When I discovered that every shaman is just unique. So how beautiful it is. How beautiful it is that finally I don't have to compare myself. Not with Jesus Christ, not kind of teacher. I don't have to compare myself. I can just be myself. And this is the true essence of spirituality. The essence of being yourself and not being someone else. And that is the internal conflict between spirituality and religion. And what we're right now are experiencing, and this is also part of reflection of Amanita, that it's not a religious mushroom, even though so many people have tried to create from it. It's a spiritual mushroom. Because spirituality, it's individual. Yep. God is not white or black, it's everything. Now, by asking for knowledge of the spirit, you will definitely, the spirit, your soul, and higher self will assist you to break down all the illusions of division. And you'll just see, you'll just feel, and you have that experience where, well, you will learn to trust yourself.
This knowledge reveals how the manipulation of consciousness is perpetrated at a deep systemic level. Humanity was not simply intellectually duped into surrendering its core sovereignty to a power structure of supreme control. The inability to self-reference as an autonomously sustained system of consciousness is a consequence of genetic engineering. Everything is code. The reintroduction of electromagnetic data flow via the delivery system of circuitry distributes source code throughout the human holonome. This primal data is deciphered and utilized by the many fractally interactive co-creative systems, such as the endocrine and pranic system, the central nervous system, and the chakras. The extent to which the body's biocomputational ability is able to decipher this code, the more the endocrine system is able to integrate and utilize its energetic information. Data that enables it to expand its ability to function. The more that system is rejuvenated, the more it is capable of deciphering. It's an exponentially expanding cycle of restorative, self-referencing, reconstruction. The energetic nature of the code divides into streams that are resonant with the appropriate function of a variety of subsystems. Although each circuit is organ or system specific, they all co-function symbiotically. With the inclusion of the previous 3 codes offered on film and this 4th code, there will be a total of 25 reinstated circuits, 8 of which stream into the brain, 6 of which flow through the pineal. The volume of electromagnetic information delivered by circuitry regulates and amplifies the response of the brain's neural matrix to the complexity of external input, expanding or contracting the bandwidth of cortical network receptivity and cognitive function. The more circuits feeding into the brain, the more coherence it distills, sublimates, and transmits into the field. The feedback of the internal experience and the perception of the immediate environment reflects the spectrum of code being deciphered. Due to the disconnection of circuitry, the present level of standard sentient awareness in this modified paradigm is set to the morphic field consensus established by the collective transmissions of billions of beings with marginalized brain function as we co-hallucinate this reality. When brain function is altered through an acceleration and integration of electromagnetic source code via reactivated circuitry, brain chemistry is adjusted endogenously. Because the adjustment is created by the self-governed biosystem, the bandwidth of cortical receptivity is self-regulated by the spectrum of your cognizance. The internal and external visual audible sensory feedback reflects the autonomy of your sovereign psychosensory process. The global morphogenetic field that currently provides the common denominator for points of identity reference is constructed and continually reinforced by global belief systems fed into the collective psyche. Limited perspectives, convictions, judgments, interpretations, conclusions, and deductions that constrict the expansion of consciousness. This is the matrix that pushes back when you begin to integrate the information delivered through the reconnection of circuitry, when you strive to realize who you are. Clearing your field of inconsonant frequencies and integrating expanded spectrums of source code data deconstructs old suppressive ways of perceiving yourself and your reality. This recalibrates your identity reference to the true constant. States of heightened sentient sensitivity are realized. This is often accompanied by waves of raw self-cognizance that can be incredibly uncomfortable. However, once these circuits are reinstated, They remain a constant source of code data that is a referencing field for the infinite self. Integration of the code is dependent upon the will, the willingness to recognize and release that which inhibits the free flow of the sovereign self, the dominance of low-frequency identification that functions on dualistic stimulus-response patterns lessens as the authentic self emerges. It is critical to identify these aspects of the false self as originating from the mutations within your blueprint and the relentless manipulation of consciousness in this paradigm. It feels personal. It is personal, and yet there is no need to take it personally. New patterns of stimulus response based on authentic experiences will develop and evolve as you trust in yourself and your process. Awareness replaces untenable behavior with responses that are arrived at through autonomous insights. By realizing the nature of the predetermined limitations that control the range of your consciousness, you begin to identify the true nature of these limitations as being matrix constructs. This reality is a looping system of entropy based on fixed axioms of causality. It has been engineered by the manipulation of the higher physics of creation to form an adulterated paradigm in a deviant temporal zone. There are billions of neurons in your brain registering the scope of possible responsive experiences you could choose to have in this moment. However, these streams of electric impulses are fixated on the algorithmically predictive sensory signals that are deeply entrained in the neocortex. You predict your perceptions according to the scope of your options. Your options are dictated by the limitations of your consciousness. Your consciousness is limited by the spectrum of source code you can decipher. Source code is delivered via circuitry.
Herzlich willkommen beim Amanita Online-Kongress. Es ist mir eine große Freude, Andrea Lötscher vorzustellen. Andrea ist Ethnologin und Dokumentarfilmerin. Durch ihren Film Baltic Healing über die Heiltraditionen in Latvia, Lettland, ist der Fliegenpilz Amanita muscaria in ihr Leben gekommen. Für den Kongress stellt uns Andrea freundlicherweise einen Filmausschnitt aus Baltic Healing zur Verfügung und führt auch das Interview mit Ilga Gavare aus Lettland. Mit Ilga bietet sie traditionelle lettische Pürz, Dampfbad und Amanita-Rituale in Dortmund an. Andrea hatte mir vor etwa 2 Jahren das Thema Amanita muscaria, also das therapeutische Potenzial vom Fliegenpilz genauer gesagt, für meine Doktorarbeit in Psychologie vorgeschlagen, welches ich dann auch aufgenommen habe. Und letztlich ist daraus auch der Amanita Online-Kongress entstanden. Also ganz herzlichen Dank dir, Andrea. Mit Baltic Healing hast du einen ganz besonderen Film geschaffen, Andrea. Magst du erzählen, wovon der Film handelt, wie es zu diesem Projekt kam, wie du nach Lettland oder in die baltischen Länder kamst?
Ja, sehr gerne. Also erstmal danke, Nora, dass ich hier sein kann für diesen Podcast oder für diesen Kongress, eigentlich ja eher, für dieses Interview. Ja, wie kam es zu Baltic Healing? Ich habe einen Film über Geboren werden und Sterben gemacht. Ich bin Filmemacherin und Ethnologin, ja. Und darüber habe ich einen Kontakt bekommen zu VAPEK. Die ist nämlich Sterbedula, würde ich es jetzt nennen. Und wir haben dann telefoniert und sie hat mir dann erzählt, dass sie eine Großmutter oder Urgroßmutter in Lettland, in Latvia hat und dass die Heilerin war und dass die so kleine Bücher hatte, wo sie alle ihr Heilwissen aufgeschrieben hat. Und dann habe ich sofort gesagt, so, wow, das ist total spannend, das will ich sehen. Und dann hat sie mir erzählt, naja, die musste das alles verbrennen, weil unter Sowjetherrschaft war alles, was mit Heilen zu tun hat, strengstens verboten. Und lebensgefährlich, wenn man es trotzdem gemacht hat. Ja, da war ich erstmal enttäuscht. Und dann hat sie mir aber erzählt, dass seit der Unabhängigkeit das Heilwissen wieder offen praktiziert werden kann. Es hat im Untergrund weitergelebt. Und dann habe ich sie davon überzeugt, dass es doch ganz wunderbar wäre, wenn wir darüber einen Film drehen könnten. Und so ist Baltic Healing entstanden. Und es hat dann 2 Anläufe gebraucht, bis wir dann wirklich in Latvia drehen konnten. Und Baiva hatte einfach die Kontakte zu diesen wunderbaren Frauen gemacht, die in diesem Film porträtiert werden und interviewt werden und wo man zuschauen kann, wie sie arbeiten.
Und du bist mittlerweile mit diesem Film viel unterwegs, auf Reisen gewesen, von der VAPEK Convention über Vorführungen in Deutschland, in der Schweiz bis hin nach Riga. Welche Begegnungen oder Rückmeldungen haben dich dazu besonders bewegt?
Also es war immer sehr, sehr spannend, die Filme zu zeigen. Die Menschen waren sehr, sehr bewegt. Auch einfach und begeistert.
Mani sauc Ilda, un es ar dabu esmu pazīstama un tuva jau daudzus gadus. Es esmu biologs pēc profesijas, un pie Mušmirē mani atveda pirtiņa, jo mans sevis iepazīšanas ceļš sākās ar pirtīm. Un 2015. gadā es sāku mācīties pirtsskolā, un drīz pēc tam mani uzmeklēja sarkanā mušmirītībā, man itimuskārie, un izraisot ļoti dziļu un neatvērām interesi par sevi. Un tā sākās arī mani meklējumi un draudzība ar viņu, kas turpinās vēl šodien, un par šo laiku ir tikai un vienīgi pieaugusi spēkā. Esmu arī reiki skolotāja, un es priecājos par šo gaismas kanālu, kurš jau arī ir kādu laiku ar mani. Un es domāju, ka tas arī ir viens no iemesliem, kāpēc mēs ar mušmirīti spējām atrast vienu otru, jo mušmirīti ir gaismas augs. Try to connect with your heart and soul. And the first thing what we need to do is make connection with your higher spirit.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can drink all the tea in one time, or separate. I will be in connection with plant, and if you will need more, then you can receive more after some time.
I'm here in my consciousness. My name is Alistair, and my intention is to deepen and strengthen my spiritual understanding of myself.
Kopā ar sarkano mušmirīti man itimuskārie garu Es lūdzu pērkundiem. Es lūdzu mācu zemi. Es lūdzu ugunsiem. Es lūdzu ūdeniem. Gaisu un vēju. Atbalstīt mūs šajā ceļā. Tāpat vienkāršais intereses nav nozīmes. Var to darīt, tā paskatīties, bet tad arī rezultāts būs, tāds, starp ne šis, ne tas. Bet savukārt, ja ir noteikts nolūks, tad ejot ar šo nolūku, šajā ceļojumā cilvēks saņem norādes, atbildes uz savu izvirzīto jautājumu. Varbūt arī, ka atbildes neatnāk uzreiz šī procesa rezultātā, varbūt, ka šīs atbildes nāk kaut kad pēc tam, caur, dziesmu vārdiem, caur zīmēm no visuma, un kas kaut kādā veidā liek cilvēkam saprast, kas tad viņam ir jādara ar attiecīgo jautājumu. Savukārt Latvijā sarkanā mušmere no vienas puses ir noteikti izmantota dziedniecībā, senajā dziedniecībā. Kaut gan arī tautadziesmās runa iet par mistisku sēņu zupu, kura tiek vārīta īpašos gadījumos un pasniegta ar sudraba karotēm. Tā kā tas ir, latvieši ir vēl joprojām vienkārši un patiesa tauta, kur savā ikdienā lieku greznību neizmanto. Un tāpēc jau šādu sudraba karošu pieminēšana liecina par kādu īpašu gadījumu, īpašu rituālu, kura laikā tas tiek izmantots. Tas, ar ko es strādāju, ir vieglas ceremonijas. Es nevedu cilvēkus ļoti dziļos, smagos, psiholoģiski smagos ceļojumos. Es strādāju ar šo vieglo pieeju, nosacīti vieglo, kas ļauj palikt pie pilnas apziņas un pašam vairāk vai mazāk sekot līdzi, bet tomēr būt tādā šajā sajuši auga ietekmi. Tie ļaudis, un tautā mēs viņus saucam par šamaņiem, kā viņi un augu sievām, kā viņas ir strādājuši ar augiem. Tas ir savu ceremoniju. Mušmerīte ir ļoti iejūtīgs skolotājs, un visus, kuri vēlās ar viņu sadarboties, viņa ieaicina savā laukā ļoti pamazām, un pamazām ir iespējams arī sajust viņas iedarbību. Vēlētos teikt, ka viņa perfekti māk atrast tieši to problēmu, kura cilvēkam tajā brīdī ir aktuāla, tieši to jautājumu. Un, ja tas veids, kā savienoties ar mušmerīti, ir divējāds, tād pamatos. Ir šis mikrodozings un ir makrodozings. Ja mēs runājam par mikrodozingu, arī tas ir dziedinājuma veids. Tikai cilvēks, lietojot mikrodozingu, iet un veic savas ikdienas darbības. Un tad, ja tas ir mikrodozings, tad pirmajā nedēļā mušmerīte izceļ ārā šo problēmu, kas ir cilvēkam, vai tā ir psiholoģiska vai veselības lieta, un šis augs strādā ar šo izcelto problēmu, piedāvājot dažādas situācijas, kā cilvēks var risināt šo jautājumu. Un, attiecīgi, cilvēkam tiek piedāvātas situācijas, kuru laikā viņam ir iespēja augt, viņam ir iespēja atbrīvoties no šīs psiholoģiskās traumas. Un tad cilvēks turpina lietot un turpina dziedināties. Savukārt, ja mēs runājam par makrodozingu, un tas sākās no 3 gramiem un uz augšu, tā jau ir ceremonija, un varbūt es vēl varu piebilst, ka man ļoti patīk, pat man mušmerīte ir pateikusi priekšā, ka viens no labākajiem veidiem, kā tieši veidot manas ceremonijas, ir viņas savienot ar pirti, un bieži vien pirms ceremonijas es piedāvāju pirti rituālu. Ceļojums ir atkarīgs no devas daudzuma, no tā, cik daudz cilvēks pirms tam jau ir bijis pazīstams ar sarkanās mušmiras garu, un arī no tā, kādā psiholoģiskajā stāvoklī cilvēks atrodas. No tā ir atkarīgs, cik dziļi notiks ceremonija. Un procesa laikā parasti tas ilgs apmēram plus mīnus 2 stundas, arī to garumu ir grūti precīzi noteikt, bet šī procesa laikā cilvēks nomierina savu prātu, un tas ir galvenais apstākļus, lai cilvēks varētu savienoties ar auga garu un reizēm saņemt atbildes uz jautājumiem, kuras varbūt viņam, visas atbildes jau ir mūsos, kuras ir pašā cilvēkā, kuras pats viņš jau zina pēc savas būtības. Kādreiz senajos laikos tas bija šamaņa rituāls, šamaņa ceremonija, un augu baudīja tikai šamanis, pirms tam savācot jautājumus, un tad viņš gāja šajā augu meditācijā, un pēc kādu laiku viņš nāca ārā no šīs meditācijas un varēja atbildēt, pastāstīt, dot atbildes par šiem jautājumiem, kas pārējos ir uztraukuši. Savukārt šodien, kad visums ir atvērties priekš mums visiem daudz plašāk un ir ļoti plāna šī robeža starp pasaulēm, tāda iespēja doties pie saviem gariem, pie senču gariem, pie augu gariem, pie augstākiem spēkiem pēc atbildēm ir jebkuram, ja vien viņš ir izteicis tādu vēlēšanos. Tāpēc es domāju, ka šis sarkanās mušmiras stāsts caurvīja ļoti daudz tautas un vieno šīs tautas, gluži kā sēņu micēlīs zem zemes.
Wirklich in Latvia drehen konnten. Und Baiwa hatte einfach die Kontakte zu diesen wunderbaren Frauen gemacht, die in diesem Film porträtiert werden und interviewt werden und wo man zuschauen kann, wie sie arbeiten.
Und du bist mittlerweile mit diesem Film viel unterwegs, auf Reisen gewesen, von der VAPEK Convention über Vorführungen in Deutschland, in der Schweiz bis hin nach Riga. Welche Begegnungen oder Rückmeldungen haben dich dazu besonders bewegt?
Also, es war immer sehr, sehr spannend, die Filme zu zeigen. Die Menschen waren sehr, sehr bewegt. Auch einfach und begeistert, dass es dieses alte europäische Heilwissen noch gibt, was wir ja hier schon zum großen Teil verloren haben. und viele auch wieder versuchen zu finden. Und ja, die Menschen waren total berührt von dieser Verbindung mit der Natur. Wir haben ja während der Sommersonnenwende gedreht, auch von diesem fröhlichen, wunderbaren Fest, wo alle ums Feuer tanzen, die Frauen mit Blumenkränzen auf dem Kopf, die Männer mit ihren Eichenkränzen. Das sieht auch einfach toll aus. Das ist irgendwie, und es macht Spaß zuzugucken. Man hat das Gefühl so, oh ja, da will ich dabei sein. Auch mal so nachzufragen, was ist denn da jetzt? Und genau.
Ja, also beide Themen, Amanita muscaria, der biologisch-lateinische Name für den Fliegenpilz, und diese Pilztradition, das vertiefen wir auf jeden Fall noch. Jetzt würde mich interessieren, hast du denn schon vor diesem Film Berührungspunkte oder Begegnungen auch mit dem Fliegenpilz gehabt? Oder ist der an dieser Stelle mehr in dein Leben getreten?
Ja, Amanita ist durch diesen Film in mein Leben gekommen. Als wir recherchiert haben, hat die Ilga Gavare, eine der Heilerinnen, die im Film porträtiert wird, die mit Amanita arbeitet, der Biber so 2 kleine Fläschchen Amanita-Essenz geschenkt für Microdosing oder geschickt. Ich glaube, sie hatte darum gebeten. Und da sie nicht 2 brauchte, hat sie mir 1 weitergeschickt. Und ich hatte erst riesen Respekt. Ich dachte, oh mein Gott, Fliegenpilz, das soll ja total giftig sein. Was mache ich denn jetzt damit? Und hatte das dann erstmal eine Weile auf meinem Schrank stehen. Und dann habe ich irgendwann gedacht, na gut, also wenn ich jetzt einen Film mache, wo es um dieses Thema geht, dann sollte ich mich wohl mal mit Amanita bekannt machen. Und dann habe ich angefangen mit dem Microdosing und wirklich nur mit 1 Tropfen, 2 Tropfen, so ganz, ganz vorsichtig. Und irgendwann habe ich aus Versehen 8 Tropfen genommen und dann habe ich eine Wirkung gemerkt und ich habe zu meinem Mann gesagt, das ist hier mein letzter Wille, falls ich diese Nacht nicht überlebe. Ich hatte wirklich Angst und ich finde, daran merkt man so, wie tief diese Angst in den Menschen ist, sich mit Amanita zu verbinden. Das ist kulturell ja hier total verankert. Das ist das Erste, was man hört. Und es ist eigentlich so schade, weil es einfach so eine wunderbares Heilmittel sein kann. Und gleichzeitig ist es vielleicht auch gut, Respekt davor zu haben und vorsichtig damit umzugehen und in niederen Dosen.
Ja,
zumindest sehe ich das so.
Das ist, glaube ich, ein ganz wesentlicher Punkt, den auch viele hier von den sogenannten Amanita-Sprechern, Experten immer wieder erwähnen. Wirklich vielleicht auch erstmal sich energetisch verbinden, ganz sanft beginnen, ganz achtsam zu sein. Es ist dennoch sehr interessant, dass der Fliegenpilz als so tödlich giftig gilt. Wir alle so mit diesem Wissen aufgewachsen sind, das wissenschaftlich in dem Sinne nicht haltbar ist. Also roher Verzehr, ja, das kann wirklich sehr neurotoxisch, sehr gefährlich, sehr giftig sein, aber nicht, wenn, wie du da auch beschreibst, in Form einer Tinktur oder diese getrockneten Fliegenpilze, wenn die Ibutensäure ins Muscimol sich wandelt. Und also überhaupt an dieser Stelle dir auch ein ganz herzliches Danke, denn du hast ja in unserer Begegnung, ich glaube, es ist schon fast 2 Jahre, mich sozusagen wieder auf den Fliegenpilz, auf Amanita gebracht und ich habe dir da sehr viel zu verdanken. Unter anderem könnte man sagen, dass dieser Kongress überhaupt nur stattfindet, weil du mal so nebenbei mich gefragt hattest, möchtest du nicht deine Doktorarbeit über das therapeutische Potenzial vom Fliegenpilz machen? Und ich damals ja ganz gesagt habe, nö, ich habe schon ein ganz anderes Thema, aber tatsächlich sitze ich jetzt hier und es ist so gekommen, Also da ein ganz herzliches Danke an dich. Und ja, du hast gerade Ilga Gavare erwähnt auch. Du hast gerade die Pürz, diese lettische oder baltische Saunatradition erwähnt. Und ich weiß, ich sehe immer dein Leuchten in den Augen, wenn du davon sprichst. Vielleicht magst du auch hier für unsere Hörer ein bisschen mehr dazu sagen.
Ja, es ist echt spannend gewesen. Man sieht das am Anfang in meinem Film, weil bin da so reingeschmissen worden. Ich kannte das überhaupt nicht und ich glaube hier die wenigsten kennen das irgendwie. Und ich stand plötzlich in dieser Sauna und sollte filmen. Und man sieht am Anfang in dem Film, dass ich so mit der Kamera so, was ist das hier alles? Wenn man es weiß, kann man es sehen. Genau, also die Saunatradition. Ich glaube, es ist eine uralte Tradition. Was die Lettinnen machen ist, oder auch die Letten, also in Latvia werden so aus Zweigen, aus Birkenzweigen zum Teil, aber auch aus Linde oder Eiche. Linde ist eben mehr für Frauen, Eiche mehr für Männer, also für diese Energie, werden so Saunabüschel gemacht. Also so, so wie so Zweige, mit denen man arbeiten kann. Und die Menschen kommen rein, werden dann auf so Blumen gelegt, auf so einer Bank und werden dann, und dann kommen die Pirtnitze, also die Pirzmeister, kommen dann mit ihren Saunawedeln und dann wird erstmal Dampf gemacht auf dem Feuer, auf dem Saunaofen. Der Dampf ist total wichtig, weil über den Dampf ist es möglich mit dem Spirit der Sauna. Jede Sauna hat einen Spirit, das ist komplett normal in Latvia. Mit dem Spirit zu arbeiten von der Sauna, mit den Spirits von dem Ort, wo die Sauna ist und überhaupt mit Ahnen auch in Verbindung zu kommen. Und mit diesen Saunawedeln kann die Energie bewegt werden. Und das ist, finde ich, unglaublich spannend. Also ich würde fast sagen, das sind, weil wir keine besseren Begriffe haben in unserer Sprache hier, das sind schamanische Heilmethoden. Die nennen das natürlich nicht so. Für sie ist das einfach Pirz. Und ich finde das auch gut, das so zu nennen, weil das ist nun mal so, wie sie das nennen. Und es sind dann verschiedene Durchgänge mit Body Scrubs auch. Die machen aus Salz und Kräutern machen sie so Body Scrubs. Zum Teil tun sie auch Amanita rein, aber eigentlich vor allem Kräuter. Und am Schluss, in dem letzten Durchgang, dazwischen geht man noch ins kalte Wasser, also diese Kontraste zwischen heiß und warm, was ja jetzt in der Wissenschaft auch zunehmend beschrieben wird, wie heilsam das ist auch total wichtig. Und als letzten Durchgang wird man mit Honig eingerieben, weil die sagen, im Honig ist die Information von wie etwas ganz ist, mit dieser Wabenstruktur. Und das wird in den Körper einmassiert, auch wieder mit diesen Kräuterwedeln. Und so alle Verbindungen wiederherzustellen. Und das ist, finde ich, auch so ähnlich ein bisschen dann wieder wie mit Amanita, weil ich finde, auch Amanita kann diese Verbindung wiederherstellen, die unterbrochen worden sind.
Und also berührend, spannend, faszinierend. Du hast gerade von schamanischen Heilmethoden gesprochen. Was ist nicht einfach vielleicht, aber was verstehst du darunter? Ist nicht einfach zu definieren, aber was sind für dich schamanische Heilmethoden?
Also dieses wirklich sich mit der Natur verbinden, mit den Spirits zu verbinden und darüber mit deren Hilfe zu heilen. Weil, so wie ich das verstehe, sehen sich die Pirten jetzt eigentlich als dass das durch sie passiert. Dass sie das selber in dem Sinne nicht machen, sondern dass es mit den Spirits passiert. Das ist das, was ich so nenne, weil ich keine besseren Worte im Deutschen kenne, die sowas beschreiben, weil wir das so eigentlich nicht mehr hier haben. Aber es ist jetzt nicht dieser Schamanismus, es ist jetzt nicht so wie so ein Schamanismus, den man vielleicht aus Sibirien kennt. Das ist dann schon nochmal eine andere Geschichte.
Ja, ich könnte mir auch vorstellen, also es ist ja, glaube ich, bei uns, gerade weil wir das hier nicht mehr vorfinden, weil wir da keine Wurzeln mehr haben hier in unseren deutschsprachigen Ländern, das nicht übermittelt wurde. Vielleicht ist auch mit so ein Grund, warum dieser Film auch hier bei uns oder dieses Wissen so wie aufgesogen wird. Würdest du das auch so sehen, dass das so ein tiefer Wunsch nach dieser Rückverbindung ist?
Ja, das sehe ich auf jeden Fall. Also ich glaube, dass das eine ganz große Sehnsucht der Menschen ist, das hier in Europa, in unserem Teil von Europa auch wiederzufinden. Und ich finde, da ist Latvia auch einfach eine große Inspiration für mich persönlich, weil ich da weil mir die Frauen in Latvia da so ganz viel gezeigt haben, was ich dann hier auch wiederfinden kann. Und ich glaube, es geht nicht darum, jetzt das kulturell hier zu übertragen, aber gewisse Dinge sind übertragbar und dann können wir hier unser eigenes damit finden. Also es ist zum Beispiel interessant, wir haben immer in der Pirz-Zeremonie überlegt, was könnten wir denn für Lieder singen? Also Ilga singt dann ihre traditionellen Lieder und dann will sie immer hören, ja, was singt doch auch mal was. Und dann ist erstmal was singen wir denn jetzt? Und wir haben unsere Lieder irgendwie selber noch nicht mal mehr parat. Es fällt uns dann immer irgendwas ein. Aber auch da, da gibt's halt diese Brüche.
Genau. Und das spürt man, gell, an dieser Stelle. Zum Beispiel mit den Liedern. Ja.
Ja, und es ist klar, dass es dieses Trauma des Nationalsozialismus hier, dass man sich nicht mehr getraut hat, die Lieder zu singen und die halt auch benutzt worden sind für etwas, was nicht gut war. Also ich glaube, dass das schon sehr stark noch nachwirkt. Ja, und in Latvia gibt's diese Tradition mit den Liedern, da sind so Weisheiten drin. Und das ist halt über Jahrhunderte, Jahrtausende weitergegeben worden. Und das ist eine Tradition, die lebt.